Janet Try It Like It Create It, and today I'm going to take a Pringles can and turn it into a ribbon holder. So the first thing I'm going to do is clean out the inside, and now to do this I'm going to need something long like a ruler to reach down in there and make sure that I'm getting all the crumbs out. And so then once that's done, we're going to mark where we want our slit to be. So I'm just looking in to check and see how we're doing. All right, and then I want to mark the opening that I'm going to cut. So I'm going to use their label as a guide here, and kind of push down on it because it's a cardboard, and I'm going to mark right along that space there. All right, so that's where I'm going to cut, and then you can decide how much you want your opening to be. Now my ribbons are not very large, so I don't need much of an opening at all, really. I'm going to go, I guess, 1/4 of an inch. And so I just want to mark off that space. And then I'll go in and connect the dots. And check to see how that looks. All right, and so then I'm going to take a knife and start to slice into it. All right, so once you can break through the cardboard, then you can just take your knife and kind of go up and down the same way you would actually do cutting. This is not how you typically would cut cardboard, but this works well. And here I am a little off center, so I'm going to go and start at this end, and I'm going to try to leave this ring in place at the top for stability. And so if I can find a location that's somewhat easy to poke into, there we go. And then I can work up and down the line. And then I'll do the same for the other side. All right, sorry about that. I didn't realize I was off camera. So what I've done is I pulled it inside. I pulled the protective tape off of the inside piece. I'll show you on the other one when we get to it. Put it down, make sure that the fold was nice and tight here. And then I went to the inside and pushed this down using a paintbrush and putting it on a hard surface here and really pushing down on it to make sure it's holding in place. All right. So now we can wrap our paper around, and if you wanted to do a piece, halfway around to make sure that it's nice and secure, you could do that. And I think I am going to do that because of the wrinkly bit over here. I'm worried it might affect how we are when we get to this end. So let me just grab some double stick tape and I'll do that and come back and show it to you. All right, so now I've put my piece of tape about halfway around, and I'm going to peel off the backing. And now we're just wrapping this paper around nice and tight and making sure it is lining up as best as it can around the container, because once we hit that tape, we're pretty much in place, although you saw with a little bit of heat I can manipulate it some. Alright, so there we are. We're nice and secure, and you can see that we are secure here, although we've got a bit of a wrinkle. So not perfect. I can futz with this some more if I need to get that to fold in. The other thing I could do is just cut along that edge and tape it back down again. All right, but we're here now. And so I'm going to do the same thing here that I did on the other side that I didn't catch on video. Is I just took a very small amount of this tape and folded it like so. Okay. And then I tucked that whole piece inside. All right. And now this one is going to be a little bit trickier here because we need to, one, make sure that that seam is down nice and tight. All right, so I'm just giving it another fold here. And then we're going to have to reach in and remove the outside piece of tape. So you can see I've untucked a little bit after I made sure the fold was good. I'm going to pull that one off and tuck all of this in, hopefully not sticking anything down until we get in there nice and tight. All right, so I'm going to be pulling up this way and then pushing down along that edge, making sure that this is nice and sealed here, which it is. And so now I can go in and reach that little piece in there and pull that backing off. Okay, have to fight with it a little bit. And then it can get pushed down into place. But to do so, I'm going to have to use something hard to reach in and push down. Okay, and so I just want to burnish that in place. Right, and you can also reach in your slot a little bit and get in there and make sure that's touching down as well. So you can see our second slot is doing a whole lot better than our first slot did. But overall, that works well. And then I can go in, and if I want, because I'm seeing a little bit of the red here on the canister, and this edge isn't exactly perfect either, I could go in and cover that to make it perfect. All right. All right, so now to secure my edges here and make sure that they're a little bit longer lasting, I'm going to use some washi tape that is actually more plastic than paper-like. And I'm just going to try to run it about halfway on the tape on that edge. And then I'm going to wrap it right around my edge. So if I have any loose paper there, it's going to get caught underneath the tape. To roll and push nice and tight so that everything is tucked around that cardboard edge. So I'm going to let that hold for just a few seconds with some clips so that it does grab on the inside. And you may or may not need to do this. The reason I'm doing it is because I have a little bit of an issue, right, with that edge folding over. And so now I'm just going to go in and burnish that tape into place. And I think another option that would be good for this would be if you have a small roll of more like duct tape, which I think this would have worked really well. I wasn't really thrilled with the color coordination of it. That's why I didn't choose it, but I can see how the benefit of that would have worked here. All right. And so then we just need to do the same on the other edge. And I may even run a piece. Let's see if I can run a few pieces on the inside. Actually, I could use this on the inside because I don't care what it looks like. And this is sturdier. All right, so if I were to reach in there, and all of this that I'm doing here is fixing because of my mistake, and hopefully you will not do the same, but I want to share with you how I am solving the problem, just in case you need to. So now I think that edge is nice and secure. All right. Now, if I want, I can secure the upper edge as well. But what I am going to do is now wrap this around each end so it matches in decoration. All right. And when it goes to pulling the ribbon out, I'm going to pull it out over this edge because that's where the extra security is, right? So I'm going to put this piece to the inside. And you can see I'm going to end up with just a little bit of my design still showing here with the flower piece. And ultimately, what I hope to happen out of this project is that it's just that much easier to access my ribbon, right? Now this end is going to be a little trickier because getting our tape in place, if I can find the end here. Let's see, I think that's it right there. Yeah, it's hard to feel it. All right, because it's just that much harder to reach in here, right? So I'm going to slip it in, hopefully. Get it to grab. Now this outer wrapping here that I'm doing with the tape is purely decorative. This was to be a little bit more protective of that area. All right. And so now I think we're ready. We can go ahead and get our ribbon in place here. I need to go and sort it into the color organization that I want. So I'll do that and come right back. All right, so I have a mess of ribbon in front of me, but I wanted to share with you what I have found out. So I have this tower of ribbon here that I'm going to be putting into my container. But what I found out while going through my ribbon is that many of these don't fit, like Ofre doesn't fit. Now, the ribbons I'm using are mostly from the dollar store, but there are some from the dollar store that are too big and don't fit. So things that like this, I don't know if this helps you with any sizing on here, because I think I have some that say the same sizing that do fit. So I'm not sure what the difference is, except that I'll show you here. This one, you can see that it is a smaller, tighter roll. Okay, so that's kind of what I am finding, is that these are not fitting, and I don't know if these are the newer size or an older size, but once again, Ofre too big. And then I have some from Gwen Studios, which I really was hoping to organize these little guys, but the small ones are just too small, and it's hard to control the ribbon coming through, and that that they don't move around in there, and that the ribbon doesn't unroll, because if you get the right size ribbon roll, the container actually helps hold it in place. So to show you what I'm talking about, I'm going to just start with my stack here, and I'm going to roll the ribbon up tight so that I just have the little tail end, and I am ready to now stick that into its slot here and put it into the container. And now, can you see how, I'm going to try to, let me see what I can use to hold this in here. Okay, there's tweezers I can use. There. That is how it fits nice and tight. And so you can see how the ribbon here is going to be held in place by the container. All right, so I just need to place each of these in by themselves. And what I would suggest is that any roll that you have that is shorter in length, or one that you think you're going to use up faster, you put towards the opening so that you can access it before you have to take out all your other rolls. The other thing you could do is, and I have here, is a dowel rod that I can put it through the center of my ribbons to help kind of hold them in place as I'm loading them. I don't know, I don't feel that I need to keep it in there as I load the ribbons, but the one thing it is doing and helping with as I load them is keeping them from falling over in there. So you can see I'm just kind of moseying them down the container as I fill the spaces. So now I've put the lid on, and it is bulging just a little bit with that last roll, which is nice because it's going to keep everything nice and tight in there. And hopefully you saw in the video that as I moved down the container, I wanted to make sure that each ribbon piece was still hanging out. Okay, and now because these are in here so tight that when I go to pull, it's going to fight me a little bit, which is perfect because I really don't want them coming unrolled or going back in. And if you feel like it is just way too tight for you, you could take the last roll out. But let's take a look here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 rolls of ribbon in this container, nice and organized. And so it can stand up on its end. It can lay down for you. Because it has holes in the center, if your dowel was long enough, you could actually, poke a hole through the end like so, and then even use this to hang up. I mean, how nice would that be to be able to hang this up with a cord or with some clamps and then be able to access this as it hangs. That might be a nice option for this. The other thing you could do is to cover. Now I did have extra designed paper here that I cut off from my piece, and I could use that to fill the end of my tube. I don't feel the need for it, but I could decorate this as well. This would be a really nice gift for a crafter if you have someone in your life. So here we've got basically, a piece that we would normally trash, which is the Pringles can after the chips have been eaten. And we've used an inexpensive piece of wrapping paper, some double-sided tape. I used this decorative vinyl tape kind of to fix some of my errors, and then also to make this edge a little bit more sturdy. Whether or not you want to do that's entirely up to you. I don't know that it's totally necessary for this project. And then you've got your 12 rolls of ribbon, which they were, what did I say, $1.25, maybe $1.50 now at the Dollar Tree. So what a nice idea for a crafter. If you put together some ribbons for them, if they use ribbons a lot in their crafting, this would be a really nice option to give as a gift, or to coordinate yourself, or make it easier so that your rolls don't come undone like mine do. I have them sitting in a bin, and this is what happens all the time, is that they come undone, and then I can either put them back in place with tape, but then you've got the adhesive on the ribbon, or you could put them in with a pin, like a stick pin, but then you've got a little hole in the ribbon. Now I know that there is someone who has designed a little cardboard piece that can go over the top here, and then maybe we'll take a look at that next time, and how we could create those to work on our ribbons. But I think this is just a nifty idea, and if I can find the original creator of this, I will link to them in the video description, and say thank you to them for this idea of organizing our ribbons.